Hello everyone. Today, we're going to write a lesson plan for the simple present tense. On this channel, I am going to share lots of videos about different grammar topics and how to create lesson plans for various subjects. If you're interested in learning more, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment below with your requests. I'll create a video just for you. And don't forget to like the video. Now, let's get started with the speaking activity using the simple present. So here, I'm not going to teach you the simple present tense itself. If you're a teacher, you're already familiar with it. Instead, I want to show you how to teach it to students effectively. After that, we'll move on to a speaking activity. So, when teaching the simple present, we start with its structure. What is the structure? Subject plus verb plus object. Subjects: she, I, he, we, it, they, you. Verbs. We have two types of verbs. To be verbs: am, is, are. Action verbs: talk, walk, run, etc. When do we use the simple present? We use it for routines and facts. 1. Routines. For example, I go to school every day. I take a shower. I go to my grandmother's house. To help my students understand, I break it down. I go to school every day. Subject: I. Verb: go. Is this a to be verb or an action verb? It's an action verb. Object: to school every day. I do the same with. I take a shower. Subject: I. Verb: take. Object: a shower. Then, I ask my students to identify the subject, verb, and object in their own examples. 2. Facts. We also use the simple present for facts. I have black eyes. The sky is blue. I explain to my students that facts cannot change. Can I change the color of the sky?
No.
Then it's a fact. Can I change the color of my eyes?
No.
So, it's also a fact. By guiding students with questions and examples, they understand both routines and facts in the simple present, teaching the negative and question forms of the simple present. Once my students understand the basic structure of the simple present, I move on to negative and question forms. 1. Negative form. If a sentence contains an action verb, we use don't or doesn't to make it negative. Subjects: I, you, we, they don't. Subjects: he, she, it doesn't. Examples: she has black eyes. Break it down. What is has? Which negative form do we use for she? Do we say she doesn't has?
No.
We remove the s. She doesn't have black eyes. They go to school every day. Break it down. What is go? Which negative form do we use for they? They don't go to school. 2. Question form. To form questions, we use do or does at the beginning of the sentence. Subjects: I, you, we, they do. Subjects: he, she, it does. Examples: they go to school every day. What do we do? Move do to the front. Do they go to school? She has black eyes. What do we do? Move does to the front. Does she have black eyes? 3. What about to be verbs? If a sentence contains am, is, or are, we do not use do or does. Negative form. Simply add not after the verb. She is beautiful. She is not beautiful. They are friends. They are not friends. Question form. Switch the subject and verb. She is beautiful. Is she beautiful? They are friends. Are they friends? 4. Practice activities. To reinforce this, I ask students to create their own simple present sentences. Have one student turn a sentence into a negative form and another into a question form. Provide fill-in-the-blank exercises to check their understanding. Final note. Before moving on to a speaking activity, it's crucial that students fully understand the grammar structure. Speaking activities work best when students already feel comfortable with the rules. So, if you feel your students need more time to practice, they're not accurate enough yet to move on to a speaking activity, I have a Telegram channel where I share plenty of grammar tips. You can use these materials in your class to help your students master the grammar before progressing to speaking activities. I will also share a list of verbs at the end of the video that can be used in the simple present. Before starting a speaking activity, you can teach your students these verbs, explain their meanings, and have them make sentences with them. Now, here is my speaking activity. I don't like my sister's children because. To help students explain their reasons, I provide them with an adjective that describes their feelings. As I mentioned in my last video, a controlled activity is one where the teacher can predict 100% what the students will say. So, I give them the adjective noisy. I don't provide the complete sentence. Instead, I give them a structure to follow. For example, they should say, I don't like my sister's children because they are noisy. Next, I prompt them to explain how. They should elaborate on what the children do that makes them noisy. For example, one student might say, they jump. I encourage them to add more detail, such as they jump loudly, or they open and close the door loudly, or they watch cartoons loudly. I write their responses on the board. Then, I guide them to answer questions like when and where. For example, if a student says they jump, I ask, when do they jump? A student might respond, in the morning, and I follow up with, where do they jump? To get them to say, in my room. This way, students answer questions step by step. If some students are quiet and lack ideas, I can provide prompts to help them elaborate. For instance, I might ask, what happens when they jump in the morning in your room? What do you feel? Depending on the student's abilities, I might allow them to speak freely or give them a structure to work with. For example, one student might say, I get angry. I would then write the structure, to become angry, on the board and ask for examples. They could say, today they come to my house. They shout, they run around, and they open and close the door. Then, I would ask them how do they feel, prompting responses like, I became angry and kicked them out of my house. Ultimately, they can emphasize their feelings like saying, I hate when they cry. In this speaking activity, students first state that the children are noisy. They should then explain what they mean by noisy, when and where it happens, and how it affects their feelings. By following these steps, they can become fluent and accurate in their responses while maintaining a logical flow rather than going off topic or simply listing ideas. For my next speaking activity, I want to address an important point. If you notice that some of your students are merely memorizing responses during a speaking activity, where half the class echoes the same ideas, it's time to change your approach. Students should be encouraged to use and create language rather than simply memorize it. The activity I have in mind is this. The person I get along with in my family is. Start by explaining the meaning of get along, specifically that it refers to having a good relationship with someone or feeling close to them. Encourage students to name a family member, such as their mom or sister. Next, provide them with an adjective, such as kind. Instead of giving them a complete sentence, offer them a structure and ask them to create their own sentences. For example, they might say, she is kind. When they provide this information, prompt them to elaborate. How is she kind? What does she do? Students might respond, she helps me with my homework, or she cooks for me. Write their responses on the board. Then dig deeper. What does she help you with? When does this happen? Where? For example, a student might say, she helps me with my English homework, adding context like, I usually ask her to come to my house, or sometimes I go to hers. If they mention cooking, follow up with, what does she cook? Students can respond, my favorite dish is macaroni, and she makes it for me. Then ask, when do you eat together? They might say, when I come home from school. I'm usually tired and hungry. Finally, encourage students to reflect on their feelings. How do you feel about her? They could respond with, I really like her, or I enjoy spending time with her. In this part of the activity, I will write the structure of the sentences or paraphrase their responses using more polished language. For example, if a student says, I like her, I will rephrase it to, I like to spend time with her. This allows me to introduce good collocations and sentence structures. Students should then provide examples. For instance, when discussing being sad, I will prompt them to create a sentence. When I am sad, what does she do for you? They might respond with, she cooks food for me. I will guide them to elaborate further, like, my favorite food is macaroni. She cooks it, and it makes me happy. All in all, I love her. This structure helps them follow clear steps while explaining the meaning of kind and using simple phrases. They should express their thoughts fluently, without pauses, and with correct grammar. For example, the person I get along with in my family is my sister because she is kind. She cooks food for me when I am tired and hungry after school. We sit next to each other in the kitchen, laugh, and enjoy our favorite meals. I really like to spend time with my sister, and I love her. Students can further elaborate. When I feel sad about exams or school, or when I'm just tired, she makes my favorite food to cheer me up. All in all, she is the best. In this way, they practice speaking fluently using good sentences and simple phrases. During their presentations, if any students face difficulties, I will note their problems but not interrupt them while they speak. After they finish, I will provide corrections and address their mistakes. Now, this is the last speaking activity we are going to run on a simple present. For this, I have made my speaking activity the opposite of the previous ones, and I have also made it a little freer.
How?
Let's see. For example, I say, I don't get along with my. Why? Here, for the reason, I can give them an adjective. For example, foodie. Then I ask, what do you mean? What does she do? Okay, she is foodie. What does she do that you hate? After that, what happens? Let me give you an example. The person I don't get along with is my aunt because she is foodie. I mean, when my mom makes my favorite food, she eats all of it, and I don't get any. So, I hate her. On weekends, we go to my grandmother's house, and every time, she eats all the food. So, I don't get along with her very much. For this speaking activity, I just give them an adjective and write down the question. They should answer the question in the way we brainstorm together. When I elicit ideas from students, I write them down on the board. They should follow the steps logically. If they struggle with coherence, I ask guiding questions. After that, how do you feel? When your grandma makes food, does she eat all of it? These kinds of questions help them create a story using the adjective foodie and express their emotions logically. To make it even freer, you could let students pick an adjective and build their own scenario, rather than giving them one. That's all for today. I hope you have fun and enjoy it. If you have any questions, or if you want a specific lesson plan on any topic or grammar point, leave a comment. I'll make one for you. So, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment. I'll be back soon with the next lesson plan.
Bye.